Welcome listeners to this presentation on Social Work in Correctional Settings, Part 2. This topic is particularly important for learners pursuing certificate program in social work and criminal justice system from IGNOU. This program has two theory components of 4 credits each and one practicum component of 8 credits. The theory component are MSW 031, that is Social Work Intervention in Correctional Settings. The second theory component is MSW 032, that is Social Work and Criminal Justice. And the practicum component is MSWL 033, which is Social Work Practicum in Correctional Settings. Today we will discuss about social work in correctional settings in various institutions established under various legislations. In today's discussion, we have Dr. Rose Nembiakim, who is the Director of School of Social Work at IGNOU. She is currently the Coordinator of Certificate and Diploma Program in HIV and Family Education, the Certificate Program in Tribal Studies, and the Pan-Africa E-Network Project. She has also launched the Certificate Postgraduate Diploma in Social Work among the tribals. Welcome, Dr. Rose.
Thank you.
I have with me Dr. Soumya, who is Assistant Professor at School of Social Work in IGNOU. She is the coordinator of Master of Social Work program. Dr. Soumya, who is a child according to the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015?
Thank you, Shantini. Any person who is below the age of 18 is considered as a child under this act, that is Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act, Protection of Children Act 2015. And there are two basically kinds of children on which this act focuses on. One is child in need of care and protection, and second category is child in conflict with law. So the first category, if we talk about, that is child in need of care and protection, they are the ones who do not have a home, and usually they are found on the roads, maybe begging, or in any other vulnerable position. And generally what is done is they are taken to, they are produced before Child Welfare Committee and then later sent to juvenile homes till they attain the age of 18. And efforts are also made towards rehabilitating them in their own families, in their own community or society. Efforts are also made towards their adoption, foster care or sponsorship. And if needed, institutionalization of such children are also done, though it is not a very favorable situation.
Right, and for children who are in conflict with law, these children are identified through the normal criminal justice process. And when a person is caught doing some offense, his or her age is verified, and if that person is found to be a minor or a child, then they come under the jurisdiction of Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. Now, such person or such a child are produced before special courts, which are known as Juvenile Justice Board. The composition of board is such that it consists of a metropolitan magistrate or a judicial magistrate of first class with at least 3 years of experience and 2 social workers, of which one should be a woman. Now, Dr. Rose, could you please elaborate on the various institutions which are established under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015?
Yes, Dr. Shantini, you've correctly said that there are homes created for these children under the Juvenile Justice Care and Child Protection Act of 2015. Now, these homes are under the control of the state government and other various organizations, and it functions within the state or the group of districts or in the district. Now, there is one which is observation home for boys and girls. Now, in this home, what happened is that children who are in conflict with the law, while they are waiting for the law to be passed against them, whether they have committed the crime or not, they are placed under these homes, and they are kept in the reception unit for consideration of their time during which the law is to be passed, and the care and protection in terms of the mental and physical health is also taken into account. And these kind of homes are funded by the funds for these homes are provided by the state government, and the management and observation of these homes are of utmost priority for the state government. Now another one is a special home. Now this is home for children in conflict with the law. Now here the difference is if the child is kept in these kind of homes where the court after investigation have proven that the children have committed a crime. Now they are kept and the state government can certify that any institution other than a home as special home where such institution is fit for special home. Now the fund for the management of the special home is also provided by the state government here, and they also look after the welfare of the children who are in conflict with the law.
Right. So when we talk about the other section of children, like children in need of care and protection, so first the effort is being made to integrate them with their families. Social workers or people try to find their families and relocate them. But in case the families are not found or the families are found not suitable to take care of the children, they are sent to special homes which are established under this act. We have the children's home. Here, it is meant for receiving those children in need of care and protection. The care is provided, and they are also provided with various kind of facilities and training, education, vocational training. So these are the services that are provided to children who are lodged here. We also have the shelter home, and these shelter home function as drop-in centers for children in need of care and protection who require urgent support. Now, these homes also cater to the care, treatment, education, training, development, and rehabilitation of the child. Any reputed and capable voluntary organization may be recognized by the state government, and they may provide assistance, to administer these shelter homes. Dr. Soumya, we also have something called the open shelter. What are these?
Open shelters are usually the ones which are either established by itself or by some voluntary organization. And here the children can keep coming and going on, and it functions as community-based facilities for children in need of residential support. And as the name suggests, it's open. So anytime they can drop in and they can go if they are involved in some work, or they go back to the streets as well. And here they live on a short-term basis. And basic objective is to protect them from any kind of abuse which is happening to them or they are vulnerable to, or even to save them from the life on streets.
Right. So when we talk about the role of social worker in juvenile homes, there is a provision that is Chapter 7 of this Act, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. They talk about the rehabilitation and reintegration of the social reintegration of the child. Now here is a role or scope of the social worker in this act. So Dr. Rose, broadly, what are the roles of social worker in juvenile homes?
Dr. Shantini, now the role of social worker in such juvenile homes mainly pertains to first identifying the cause of the offense and also making necessary recommendation for the rehabilitation of the juvenile in conflict with the law. Now here the social worker can do a lot of group work as well as social case work with the juvenile in understanding why the offense was committed and what is the reason behind, as we mentioned, the cause of the offense. And also they make certain kinds of strategies, develop certain kinds of strategies where both of them can be involved in different kind of activities so that the juvenile is reintegrated back into the society. Now the social worker, the main aim is the rehabilitation, positive reinforcement of the juvenile into the society. So this is how they should be taking care of the juvenile, because when we talk about the juvenile, they are, like Dr. Soumya pointed out, any person, any children under 18 years of age in conflict with the law. So the idea for the social worker is to help and reintegrate them back into the society and involve them in community services or activities and understand that the offense that they've created or the offense they've committed is what is not acceptable within the society.
And there is immense scope of casework also in children's home. Casework is a primary method in social work, and this is particularly applicable to children who are destitute, who are orphans, who are runaway, and who are vulnerable to violence, or have been subjected to abuse, or have some kind of moral danger. So a caseworker, who is a trained social worker, helped the inmate or the child adjust to his life within the institution or these homes that we are talking about, and that they also help in psychosocial development of the child. So as a children, I can understand they must have gone through a lot of traumatic experience before they were placed in the homes. So it is very important to come to terms, with what has happened to them,
Right.
and talk about it,
Right.
and get over the pain and the sense of betrayal. So it is the role of the social worker, the case worker, who provides, who listens first, who the listening is very important, and then who understands the pain of the child, and they provide pastoral care and provide other kind of services like liaisoning with the schools where children may be sent for education, and which will again help the child to develop positive relationships within the institution, as well as it will help to prepare them for their stay
If
in
I
the
may
home.
add here,
Sure.
Dr. Shantini, like most of the juvenile who commit such crimes, most of them are orphans, or they don't have parents, or they don't have a shelter. So what the social worker can do is provide, like you said, liaising, for them to be taken into the foster cares, or to be adopted as orphans, or to provide for a sponsorship of these juvenile, or arrange for sending them to aftercare homes so that they become reintegrated back into society.
Dr. Soumya, what are the other scope of social worker in this kind of institutions?
Another method through which we can help them is group work. And group work has also a lot of scope, if we can talk about, as a method for inmates. And through group work, what the social worker does is, number one, tries to observe how the individual behaves amongst the group of inmates. And through that, they also try to assess the person. What are the problems? Like, it acts as a diagnostic process, and they can assess the problem the person is undergoing. How is the person behaving with the inmates? What kind of leadership is the inmate taking, or what kind of, is the person very silent, or is the person very vocal? Are there any other problem which the person is facing? Also, so it acts as a treatment process. It also acts as a diagnostic understanding. Also, it facilitates in the adjustment, because when the inmate starts speaking with the other group members, and other group members support the person, or even to oppose, when they oppose them, the kind of reaction the inmates shows, all that helps the social worker to assess the present situation of the inmate and how the further plan of action should be planned. And also in personality development, because when the person gets a chance to speak, or to talk on particular issue, or when he or she sees that people are listening to him, then the person gets a boost in the personality, gets a feel that the person can be a leader, and it helps in a better adjustment.
Right. So now we also talk about some other legislation, like we have the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act of 1956, which deals with prevention of soliciting in public. This law does not render prostitution a crime as a criminal offense per se. If prostitution is carried on in a public place by two or more people, it is punishable. Now, under this act, there are two kinds of people who are caught. One is the accused and another is the victim. Accused are the ones who are the touts or the pimps who voluntarily work as sex worker and solicit clients, and the victim are the ones who are put under this prostitution by force or under some pressure. Such victims are verified of their age, and in case the person are found minor or juvenile, the case is referred to the Child Welfare Committee, which is under the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act of 2015. In case the victim is major, she is sent to protective homes, where social worker work towards the rehabilitation of these women. They are sent back to their families or to the ones they claim only through after proper verification. In case the minor is trafficked from neighboring countries, she is handed over to the concerned embassy. Dr. Soumya, what are the institutions set up under this act, and what are the roles of social worker in it?
See,
Women's
before
home.
that, if I may add, the kind of homes that are set up, These are for the these are set up under the protective homes and
Right.
corrective institutions,
Yes.
are created under the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act of 1956.
Correct.
Now these homes were created by the state government and also along with various organizations, voluntary organization. The main aim of creating such homes is that to prevent the people or the female or the women who are in a vulnerable position or in a dangerous situation of being taken into prostitution,
Yes.
so they might not be victimized. And if anybody is carrying or are taking into consideration the act of prostitution, then they can file a complaint with the magistrate where they can be taken care of. And I think Dr. Soumya can throw a light on how the social worker can be a part of this entire process.
Yes, as we have already discussed, the social worker plays through several techniques, several methods. Through several methods, the social worker can also work in these homes because either through casework or group work or even do counseling and then tries to rehabilitate them either in the even in the shelter homes. They need to be rehabilitated as well as in the community. So they play a very significant role.
Right. So the whole idea is again to, provide the immediate assistance to the woman who have undergone a traumatized experience in their life, listen to them, and then, find ways so that they can cope with their, problem and the pain, the trauma that they are undergoing. And after they settle down in the home and efforts are being made to rehabilitate them, find their families, find out whether the families are open to accept them, and if not, then they are also provided with various kinds of opportunities like education, like vocational training, and so that they can choose some employment activities after some time, so they are self-employed and they are empowered after a period of time. We also have the Bombay Prevention of Beggary Act of 1959. Under this, begging is defined as soliciting or receiving alms in a public place. It includes anyone who doesn't have any visible means of subsistence, who wanders about in any place, and lives by soliciting or receiving alms. Dr. Soumya, are there any institutions set up under this act, and are there any roles of social worker in this?
Yes, as you said, the broad definition of begging, it is explained, it allows the police to arrest anyone who looks unfairly or poor and they target unfairly people who are houseless and are living on the streets. So, a person who is arrested in begging is produced in the court, and the court may decide to detain the person for some time. But these beggars, either they are imprisoned for 3 years and then they sign a bond and then they are again released. But there is no proper mechanism as such how to rehabilitate them. So, usually, the role of the social worker in this case is that the person tries and identifies that if the person can be rehabilitated or reintegrated in the with the family,
Right.
number one. Number two, if they could learn some vocational skills or training, and accordingly if they are able to get some employability somewhere they are occupied, then they would not again return back to the streets. Otherwise, in some time they again return back to the streets and are in the same vulnerable position.
Right. Dr. Rose, are there any special skills and techniques required for social workers?
See, we have talked about the skills and techniques of social workers in terms of casework and group work. But if we have to talk about the certain techniques, then one thing I would like to talk about is counseling here. Now, counseling is very different. It is a very professional act between a client and a social worker. And here, it is not advice giving or abdomination of the person, but it is a one-to-one relationship which the client shares with the clientee, shares with the client, and it tells how to help them come out of the traumatic situation or any other kind of issues that they're facing. And the other one is what the social worker can do is provide empathy. Now, we talk about sympathy, but empathy is understanding. We do not have to be sorry for what they are doing or what they have done, but to understand in what capacity they have made such a distinction between, the crime, if we talk about. Now, there's also a situation called stigma and self esteem. Now, we talked about the Juvenile Justice Act, children in conflict with the law. We talked about Prostitution Act. We even talked about the beggars. Now, everyone will have a sense of a stigma attached to it whenever they talk about in the society. Nobody would want to take them back because of the criminal act behind them, or the prostitution thing behind them, or because of the begging experience. But when we talk about the social worker, they have to give them with that self-esteem where they can believe that their dignity, their individualization, as we talk about in social work principle, so that is enhanced, and they come out as a person who are a part of the society.
Right. So, in this presentation, we have covered three legislations, which are Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act, the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, and Bombay Prevention of Beggary Act. We have discussed the homes that are created, or institutions those are created under these legislations, and we have also discussed the role of social worker in these correctional settings. We also require specific skills and techniques to be a social worker and to perform in and to do well in these institutions. So we have discussed the techniques and skills required for a professional social worker to work in these correctional institutions. I thank Dr. Rose and I thank Dr. Soumya for sharing their valuable views on this topic, and I hope this presentation will be useful for our learners. Thank you.
Thank you.